7:07, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Welcome on in to a Thursday. Appreciate you listening to Nashville's Morning News and Super Talk 99.7. Joan, we were talking earlier about the homeless folks.
Yeah.
Or panhandlers, I should say. I keep mixing those up in Murfreesboro.
Yeah.
So, and how the Murfreesboro, is it the politicians or the police or who is it that's asking?
Well, it's a law in Murfreesboro not to panhandle. People do it anyway.
So what do? Do they find people that give to the panhandlers? I mean, isn't that somebody's right to, if they want to give?
If they want to give, yeah. Well, if it's a law, no, it's not a right. You know?
Yeah. Okay. Because it does lead to more panhandling.
Right. It encourages more people to do it. So the effort by, and I think this is like the city council, is, hey, get people to go to the homeless shelters or to the food banks and pick up food and find shelter so that you're still helping. You can go to the shelters and you can go to the food bank and help.
Yep.
And that way it directs people to those sources instead of standing out on the street and panhandling.
So I want to take some phone calls this morning. It's been a while since I've been able to take some phone calls, and I'm not going to say it's a slow news day, but it's a good day for it. So the phone number is 615-737-9986, 615-737-WWTN. Number one, how bad? I'm never in Murfreesboro. So how bad is the panhandling in Murfreesboro? Has that law, which I don't know, how long has that law been in place? I don't even know.
Good question.
So, but apparently, if they have to remind people not to give to the panhandlers, then it's obviously not something that is working because there's still panhandlers out there. Because you get the people who are giving to panhandlers, you get them to stop, and the panhandlers are just going to go away. And so that's number one. Number two is, do you folks trust panhandlers at this point? Because I got to tell you, for me, and we were talking about this, way earlier in the show, I just don't trust panhandlers. I simply don't. But I'm curious as to, you know how they do online, Joan, am I the a-hole? Do you know that whole thing?
No.
Okay, so there's this whole thing online where you go to, and I don't know the details, but I know that I've seen it before, and people ask, I'll clean this up for the radio. Am I the jerk? So I was sort of driving in this morning and thinking about this story because I saw it. And I thought, am I the jerk for not trusting panhandlers? Is it just me? It's almost like, you know what we ought to do, Joan? We ought to do a segment called Is It Just Me? Where we ask ourselves, is it just me where I think that people are absolutely dumb for giving to panhandlers? And then I think, okay, well, maybe that is just me. And maybe people are judging me for not trusting panhandlers. But the difference, of course, is that I talk about it on the radio. So I don't know. But I don't think it's just me. I generally speaking, I don't think people trust panhandlers. And I am also wondering what is going on in Murfreesboro that the panhandling is so bad. And I'd also ask you, Murfreesboroans, and we got one coming in at 9.
Borough residents.
Borough residents.
Yeah.
Has the panhandling gotten worse or better since they passed this law?
So the law was passed in 2016.
Okay.
So it's been law for a while.
Yep, 9 years.
The law says that you can't panhandle from vehicles, citing safety concerns. Also restricted aggressive panhandling, so soliciting from specific locations like at ATMs, drive-thrus, outdoor dining areas, or within 25 feet of a crosswalk.
Yep.
And then this campaign that they have right now is called Better Way to Give. So it encourages residents to donate to local charities that provide services.
Yeah.
They suggest the Salvation Army or the Journey Home. And there's a QR code on the signs so that you can use your cell phone, hit that QR code, and give right there.
I can imagine that panhandling has taken a hit because nobody has cash anymore either.
Yeah.
Right?
That is an issue for me when I see someone.
I'd be willing to bet that there's like these panhandlers that have Cash App.
Yeah.
Right? Matthew's on the road on line 1. Matthew, what do you think about all that?
Well, Dan, I agree with everything you say about panhandling. My 2 cents for this is panhandling is solicitation by law. solicitation is First Amendment protected activity under the Constitution. There are municipalities and cities that make laws that go against it, but they will lose in court every time. So what these people are doing is protected First Amendment speech, and Murfreesboro can have all the laws they want, but in court it will never hold up.
Interesting. So, but it is up to the people then to decide, and they're in Murfreesboro, if they want to give to the panhandlers, despite the law, and despite the panhandlers' right, as you say, to ask for money. Do you give to panhandlers? Was there a time when you gave to panhandlers and then you stopped?
Well, so I drive a big truck, and when they see this beautiful mug, they choose not to ask.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, hey, us ugly guys, we don't have to worry about being approached too often.
Yeah, preach it, brother. I'm right there with you. I'm right there. Jerry's in Lebanon on WTN. Hey, Jerry. Jerry, go ahead. All right, apparently Jerry's
not there.
Jerry's not there, which is fine because we got
Hello.
Phil. Hey, Phil, you are in, is it Lexington, Kentucky?
Tennessee.
Okay, very good, Phil. Thanks for calling. Is there Lexington, Tennessee? Is there really? Okay, my bad. Been here almost 12 years. I had no idea. Did you? Oh, Joan.
Oh, come on.
You're over there scoffing and mocking
and
me.
I
Did
had
you know
no idea either. No.
Thank you, Joan. All right, Phil, go ahead.
Yeah, thanks for coming to my call. Quick funny story about panhandling. I used to manage a restaurant in West End. You know, West End is really bad about panhandlers. Well, everybody, when they get out of church on Sundays, they feel good about themselves and everything. And, well, these panhandlers would come in the restaurant, I'd have to kick them out because they'd be asking people for money. Well, so this family had been there eating, and I was kicking this panhandler out for asking people for money. And the family said, well, we'll buy him some food. Let me buy you some food. So they placed his order, and they bought him some food. And then the family went on out the door, and they were happy, and they did the good thing and everything. So when the guy's food got ready, he gave me his receipt, said, I want my money back.
Oh.
Wow.
So he didn't want the food. I just took his ticket to get out of here.
Well, and you know what, Phil, and appreciate the call. That is just like Joan, my story about when I gave my leftovers to that dude and he threw it back at me and yelled at me.
Yeah.
You know? So
Somebody else made a really good point on the super text line that I see this a lot in the Murfreesboro city chat and in the Manchester city chat. The people panhandle on the chat as well. They'll say, hey, I just moved here. I lost my job. My kids need food. I need a little help. Can anybody donate some money to me?
Yeah.
I see it all the time.
Do you give to those people?
No, I
don't either.
A lot of people, I read them, and people will do nice things like say, here's where this church is opening their, they open their food banks on Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Yep.
Go here if you need something.
If it's somebody that I know, I don't want my friends to start hitting me up for money, but if it's somebody that I know and that I trust that needs some money, then I will lend them money. But some complete stranger, absolutely not. I got a couple more calls. 615-737-9986, 615-737-WWTN. Time to check the roads. As far as your weather for today, a high of 87, feeling like 93, mostly sunny, intermittent cloud coverage throughout the day. Appreciate you listening to Nashville's Morning News on WTN. The super text line is absolutely exploding. John says, in our opinion, a lot of panhandlers are simply con artists. Here's one from Sharon. She says, I live in the borough. Panhandling still goes on all the time. 0550 says, most cities have ordinances against panhandling. Nashville does. Well, then why do we see them all the time? I'm no expert on panhandling. But, clearly, if there's ordinances against it, the police aren't doing anything because I would imagine it's almost like, why bother? Because, it's certainly in Nashville, they're not going to charge them with any kind of a crime. Andy's in Sumner County on WTN. Hey, Andy.
Hey there.
Hey, man, go ahead.
So John Stossel actually did a piece on panhandling in Salt Lake several years ago, and he highlighted how a lot of those people actually make a really good living doing it.
Tax-free.
They have nice clothes.
Oh, that's a great point. Andy Jones just said tax-free as well.
Yeah. I used to live in Utah County, and I'd see people on the corner, and what they do is they would all come out of their house, pile into a car, and someone would take them around town and drop them off. And they'd do their panhandling, and then they'd all get back together in their car and go home for the day.
That's what they do. And yeah, oftentimes they'll have a better car than you do. Thank you, Andy, for the call. I appreciate it. This is Michelle in Clarksville on WTN. Hey, Michelle, how are you?
Hi. So panhandling is a form of violence in my opinion. It's a form of violence. They are trying to intimidate the citizens and thinking that they can just intimidate you to go after your cash money. And that's why I see why there's a law against it, that they're trying to intimidate the citizens to give them their lunch money. And it's violent, yeah. It's that's why when I'm approached or when I don't even speak to them. So it's a form of violence, in my opinion.
So
that's all I have.
All right,
go ahead.
I'm trying to figure out. So you say it's a form of violence. I've seen real violence and panhandling. I don't think it's violence. How do you connect the dots there?
Okay, so if somebody approaches me and tells me that they can I lend them $5 or something like that, I don't find that. I was born in Los Angeles, and I was raised most of my life in Los Angeles. I do live here in Tennessee now, but in California, a big problem was in the schools there is that they try to push you around for your lunch money.
Right.
And a lot of schools, they have big problems with that. So it's still, so to my memory, it still comes around as if someone needs help, they should work it out.
Right.
But approaching another person, I look at that as it's the beginning of being violent.
All right, Michelle, thank you very much. I'm not going to go that far, but I'm a dude. I don't know. Joan, do you think panhandling is violence? I'm trying to figure out where she's going there because, and Michelle, I mean, clearly she's listening to us. And so I would hope anyway that she's conservative. That's a very lefty thing to say. Remember how, the Democrats will always say, oh, silence is violence and all that stupid, like everything is violent to them. So I can't go that far with you, Michelle, but I do appreciate the call.
It does, I think, have the sniff of being able to go that way.
Intimidation,
yes.
She was right about that.
Yep.
But intimidation again. But see, I'm at a disadvantage because I'm not intimidated by the panhandlers. I'm just not. But I can see how other people would be, and I don't mean to sound sexist, but I do understand how a woman would feel intimidated by, and men, by a panhandler because you don't know what they're going to do.
Yes.
Maybe I need to be more intimidated by panhandlers, Joe. Now that this suggestion has been made, this is Ralph in Las Casas on WTN. Hey, Ralph, go ahead.
Dan.
Hey, how are you?
Yeah, I'm doing good. We live just outside Murfreesboro. We do all of our shopping in Murfreesboro. I'll be honest, I don't see a lot of panhandling in the areas that we're in. We hit most of the major roads. Broad Street, Old Ford Church, Medical Center Parkway, most of the main drags. And I just don't see it happening a lot.
Last time I was in Murfreesboro, I had a meeting there a couple of weeks ago, I think, and I did see a panhandler, but only one. But maybe that means that the law is working. I know that, guys. I know the phone's going crazy. I got one more call. This is Cameron on WTN in the borough. Hey, Cameron. So how bad is the panhandling there in Murfreesboro?
The panhandling is not bad. It's the homeless that Nashville keeps sending down to us by bus because they keep running out of room up there. That's the issue.
Say that. Hold on. Say that one more time.
And Nashville's been busing homeless people from Nashville down here to Murfreesboro.
They have
and just dropping them off.
Yep, just like I covered that story a while ago.
Oh, really? This is a true story?
A true story, Joan.
Oh,
That's what Nashville does.
Yeah.
And
most of the time, those people, if you see them out on the street, I'll stop in if we're going grocery shopping, get crackers or waters or whatnot, give that to them. They'll take that, no problem. They're happy to receive whatever help you can give them.
Mm-hmm.
I've even offered some of them jobs, and I've heard from those companies that they're now working there and doing great.
Oh, good.
So, I mean, I don't really see too much panhandling going on at Murfreesboro. It's more just homeless, needs a little bit of help.
All right, Cameron, thank you very much. I do appreciate it. And 723, people are commenting on the panhandling as violence thing on the super text line.
Yeah.
Jean says, California, shocker. Because she said that she was from California.
Mm-hmm.
I'm from California too, people. And I wasn't on board with her, but that's okay. That's okay. It's I don't know. I can't go there with her, and I don't want to sound insulting to the caller, but I have seen real violence. I think we've all seen real violence, and panhandling ain't it for me. But Joan said you can kind of see where she's going, so that's all fine, well and good. It is 7:24 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. That's it for calls for now. But you know what? A Murfreesboroan is going to be in here at 9 o'clock. I wonder if Chris Hand has anything to say about this.
Maybe he's, we, of course, that we go to the same church.
Mm-hmm.
And when I go to church on Sundays, there is the same man on the same corner every Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
And he has a scooter, I guess, like an electric chair scooter. And he stays on the corner. And, every morning he knows, I think, that everybody's headed to church on that exit of 24.
All the churchgoers are going to start giving them a bunch of money. Is that what he thinks?
Yep. And they do.
Do they?
I watch everybody, and we do the same.
Listen, if you want to give to panhandlers, I'm not judging. Just don't judge me for not giving to panhandlers.
Yep.
Alrighty, it's 7:25. Joan, what's coming up in the news at 7:30? Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Follow me on X at Dan Mandis Show. You can also follow me on all the socials. This has been tweeted out. Listen to this, because I think it's a very legitimate question. Tennessee National Guard troops are heading to D.C. to help fight crime. Meanwhile, Memphians are living in a war zone, the homicide capital of the nation, according to FBI Director Kash Patel. That is Governor Bill Lee giving Memphis a great big middle finger. It is a valid conversation, is it not? I mean, listen, there are people that are listening right now, and I'm actually one of them talking right now, where I wouldn't go to Memphis if my life depended on it, because my life depends on it. I mean, they got a great, minor league baseball stadium there, and probably a Graceland, of course. And, I think that's a valid question. Would Governor Lee ever, consider sending the National Guard to Memphis? Oh, the hue and cry. Can you imagine? I mean, you would have Afton Bain, and you would have, John Ray Clemens. You'd have all of these bleeding heart liberals, all of these progressives, all of these folks would start screaming, oh, Memphis is totally black, and you're sending the National Guard out. Oh, it's the murder capital of the world. So if you want people to stop dying, maybe that is what we should do, is send in that National Guard. And I get it that is not going to happen. I mean, I do understand that. But, I think this is Todd Stearns that tweeted it. I love what he has to say. And luckily, we don't live in Memphis. We live in Nashville. But I do still care greatly about my state of Tennessee. So we're going to put up a Daily Dan poll. And, Joan, I have a feeling this is going to be one of those Daily Dan polls that is lopsided.
Mm-hmm.
So I've told Louie to put up a Daily Dan poll. Should Governor Bill Lee send the National Guard, the Tennessee National Guard, to Memphis to help fight crime there?
Yeah.
Because look at what it's doing
that's a good question. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, look what it's doing for Washington, D.C.
Mm-hmm.
And we've been talking about that all morning long. So I think that is, a great point. And again, I don't think Bill Lee has the testicular fortitude to do that. But boy, Adler, I'd sure like to see him do it. Because, the Tennessee, I should say Memphis, they've got the same problems in Memphis that they do in Washington, D.C. You got roving gangs of young kids that are carjacking cars. You got the robberies. You got the murder rate. I mean, it's all there. The same problems are in Memphis and Washington, D.C. So why would our Tennessee National Guard go to Washington, D.C. when they could be fixing our own backyard? So, I sure wouldn't mind it. I'd be willing to bet the good people of Memphis, the ones that are law-abiding citizens, I believe that they as well would not mind it because they are living in a war zone. And I think I must have said this here in the last couple of days, but you always talk about, and the people on the left are always saying that it's racist. Well, with the National Guard going to Washington, D.C., Donald Trump is being racist for trying to take over an American city. And it is so nonsensical. The argument that they make is so nonsensical because what Donald Trump is trying to do is save lives. And based on the neighborhoods we're talking about, there's a lot of black folks in those neighborhoods where the crime is really bad. So Trump sending in the National Guard, Tennessee and West Virginia and others, is literally saving black lives. But somehow it is racist for the president to send the National Guard in. I mean, that makes no sense whatsoever. That's why, and I loved what J.D. Vance said earlier, and I played the audio for you, where, you know what? Look at all the crime that's going down there in Washington, D.C. The results have been amazing in Washington, D.C. We're talking about that earlier. And he talked about, J.D. Vance did, he talked about how a politician has to have, a lot of guts, the political wherewithal to be able to stand up to the criticism of, oh, you're racist for sending the National Guard into a mostly black city. And I get that the liberals and the progressives out there, I get that they can't really think straight because they don't have a lot of common sense. But can somebody please explain to me how trying to save lives, especially black lives, by sending the National Guard in where the murder rate is incredibly high, how is that racist? I mean, I'll answer for all of us, it's not. But remember with the Democrats, remember that they always have to have a problem that they need to solve. Otherwise, they have no reason to exist, right? In other words, do you really think that the Democrats want to fix the schools? No, they don't. Because they need something to complain about. They need something to make them feel relevant. So in my opinion, they don't actually want to fix the schools. Do they really want to stop crime? I don't think that they do because they need something to be and complain about, and complain about because that makes them feel relevant. And so if they can say, oh, we're fighting for the schools. Are you really? Are you really fighting for the schools? Oh, we're fighting for the community. Are you really fighting for the community? Because you're screaming about defunding the police, the same people that are trying to save your community. Donald Trump sending in the National Guard. Oh, we're fighting for our community. Really? Because your community is literally in tatters. All these jackholes in Memphis, all the local politicians out there on the school board and the city council and all that stuff, is riddled with politics and corruption. And they're the ones that would scream the loudest about Bill Lee, perhaps he's not going to, but send in the National Guard into Memphis to try to curtail the nation's highest murder rate in Memphis, Tennessee. You know darn right well, they would be screaming the loudest. Oh, the Republicans, state of Tennessee, they're so racist, all the stuff. Justin Jones, Justin Pearson, Gloria Johnson, and I would look right back at them and I would say, what have you done to fix Memphis? You haven't done a damn thing. But they'll be the first ones to, scream racism. I could say that those people that flap their gums all the time, talking about how they want to, fix these cities and so on and so forth, but they actually haven't done anything. And so a Donald Trump or maybe a governor with some testicular fortitude actually wants to do something by perhaps sending in the National Guard, which I think is a great idea. They'd scream the loudest. Crime would go down. Lives would be saved. Businesses would be impacted in a good way because people wouldn't be afraid to go outside. But the left, of course, would do what the left does. 746, sorry, stepping off my soapbox. It is time to check the roads on WTN. 747, as far as your weather goes. Joan, have you heard the story about the deer that was rescued in the ocean? I'm looking up at the TV, and somehow a deer in Florida ended up in the ocean. And so the lifeguards actually had to go in and rescue a deer. And apparently they did.
What?
Yes, a deer was in the ocean. I believe it or not, CNN is on in the studio here, and a deer somehow made its way into the ocean. Do they go in the ocean? In Florida?
If they're chased, I think they might.
Okay.
If they're chased by a predator, yeah.
All right, very good. All right, real quickly, because I want to talk about real quick what is going on with Scott Jennings. So Scott Jennings, of course, everybody knows that Scott Jennings. People like to say that he is the owner of the libs. You know, the Abby Phillip, the one who hosts the show that he is on. So she admitted in a podcast that Scott Jennings is hated by the CNN audience. And it is clear that he's also not liked by his coworkers. And, one of the things that she talks about is that doesn't matter. He's there for a reason. And all sides, she says, kind of, sort of, have to be represented. This is a great moment with Scott Jennings, and this is an example of why the audience of CNN hates him.
I think the Democrats are hemorrhaging voters because they've chosen all the wrong constituencies. They seem to care more about illegal aliens than American citizens, violent criminals than law-abiding citizens, and the Palestinian flag more than the American flag.
That is not true, and that is
when you take those positions on things like that, people tend to run to the other party. And
is there one mainstream Democrat?
I think the Democrats are hemorrhaging voters because
he's right though. He is. My phone's blowing up. He's right though. I mean, Scott Jennings is right when he talks about why the Democrats are hemorrhaging voters. We're talking about that earlier in the broadcast, about an hour ago, where the New York Times and a lot of people voting on this now, or reporting on this now, where the Democrats have lost, 4.5 million registered voters over the last several years. And I was talking about this with Jonathan Fahey, and there's a number of things going on. And I think one of the things that is going on is that Democrats are just probably embarrassed by the behavior of, the militant part, the militant wing of their party. And let's be honest, most of the party, it feels like these days, at least the ones that are engaged with the media, they are militant. And they're communists. So this is the story about Abby Phillip. CNN's Abby Phillip confessed on a recent podcast that she is aware Scott Jennings, one of the network's most brazen Trump defenders, is broadly reviled by the audience. She says, I know that folks really dislike Scott for his views, Phillip told Kara Swisher on The Pivot. But she says, but I would also say there are views that you don't like, that you think are unfounded, but that are pretty widely shared. She says, I think Scott falls into that category. But then she says this. She went on. Again, this is Abby Phillip talking about Scott Jennings. If I deflect that what you're doing is playing a game of let me say something that I think is going to go viral, let me misrepresent what is being said here to try to create a moment, Abby Phillip says, I will stop that. Scott is often involved in such moments. So Abby Phillip is saying that the only reason that Scott Jennings does what he does is to get likes and follows on social media. That is so completely bunk the reason Scott Jennings is there and the reason why his moments on her show do go viral is because he's the only one that makes sense. I'm looking at a photograph now. It's Scott Jennings and 4 other people. And he is trying to fact check them and talk reason to the nonsense that they're saying. And you got all these Democrats and they're, complaining about, we've lost all of these voters and the Democrat Party is in disarray. And he's trying to patiently explain to them, like you have to explain to a small child where they went wrong. He's doing that with the Democrats. And that's, not a bid to get more social media followers. That is simply a bid to have a conversation, which, of course, we know that the Democrats simply cannot have. 7:52, Joan she's got the news coming up. And at 8, Joan.